time to put the Cincinnati Bengals on the mock draft clock. First overall pick in the 2020 draft is going to be, fill in that blank.
Well, I'm not going to get crazy here, and neither are the Cincinnati Bengals. They're going to do the smart thing, which is what we thought a long time ago, and take the best quarterback in this year's draft, and that is LSU's Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow transferring from Ohio State, goes to LSU, 2018, a so-so season, and then he was spectacular in 2019, winning the Heisman Trophy, 60 touchdown passes, leading LSU to the national championship. And Rich, when I watch him, it jumps off the screen, the poise and playmaking ability, the pinpoint accuracy, and then you see the toughness that Joe Burrow brings to the table. As we go to the video, can show you exactly what I'm talking about. They love to go empty at LSU. They did it 86% of the snaps because Joe Burrow has the vision to see the safety vacate to the middle of the field. You've got your stud slot receiver in Justin Jefferson on a vertical. Drop that one perfectly over his shoulder. Again, Justin Jefferson working in the middle of the field. Anticipation and ball placement, outstanding from Joe Burrow. How about that toughness we mentioned? Stand in there, don't drop your eyes, deliver the football right on the money in the SEC, playing against premier competition. Pocket awareness and movement, climb, feel it, see the backside post, and again, throw a beautiful ball. If you want to nitpick Joe Burrow, you can do it here. Sometimes he doesn't have the perfect throw down the field, but he had such an array of talent at the wide receiver position, he was able to get away with it. But I think this is an outstanding pick for the Cincinnati Bengals.
And for the sixth time, the Bengals are using a first-round draft selection on a quarterback, but for only the second time and the first time since the last time that they did it, a first overall pick in the draft. So now Washington is on the clock, second overall, and Ron Rivera's first pick as the head coach there is going to be who?
Well, just as sure as I'm wearing shorts right now, Rich, it's going to be Chase Young. They're not going to trade out of this pick. They're going to take the best player in the draft, and once again, it's an Ohio State Buckeye. We saw it last year with Nick Bosa having an immediate impact for the 49ers, becoming the fifth first-round pick on that defensive front for the Niners. Well, guess what? Now the Washington Redskins can play 5-on-5 because they've got 5 first-round picks. Chase Young, the burst off the line of scrimmage, the fact he's able to finish once he gets to the top of his rush, that's what separates him. And for a comparison, it's tough to find guys that compare to him athletically, but Myles Garrett is the closest I could come up with, and we've seen the impact he's had at the next level. Let's go to the video and I want to just show one game, a game in which he did not have any sacks. This is against Clemson, and people tried to nitpick him in this game. Well, watch all the pressure he generates. Up and under here, coming off the edge to get a big hit on Trevor Lawrence. Now you get a chance to see that swipe move that the Bosas made famous as they were taught by Larry Johnson there in Columbus. That gets a pressure. How about you want to loop him and stun him? He can close in a hurry, deliver a big hit. You see it for the second time there. And then the effort. I love the effort that Chase Young played with. He could have easily shut it down at the end of the season. That did not happen. You see him retrace his steps and collect the tackle down the field. He's the best player in the draft, Rich, and to me this is a no-brainer pick for the Washington Redskins.
And just as sure that I'm wearing shorts right now, too, Daniel, the Penn Stater and Michigan Stater who are producing this show for NFL Network are delighting in the fact that I have to read this board about the Ohio State University's dominance at this position and how they have been sending game changers into the NFL. And just like Nick Bosa, Chase Young, second overall in this draft. Now, your mock draft will include some trades. I'm wondering if this is the spot with the Detroit Lions, third overall, that we might see a trade on Thursday night.
I think it's very possible. I think they would like to get out of the third overall pick. I'm just not certain they're going to be able to find a dance partner. You've seen some reports out there, maybe the Miami Dolphins, maybe the Chargers to come up and get a quarterback. I don't see that happening. I think they're going to end up having to stick and pick. And when they do, Rich, you'll be happy to know it's another Buckeye. It's Jeffrey Okudah, the corner from Ohio State, who is the top cornerback in this year's draft class. This is the Detroit Lions team last year against the pass that was dead last against the pass. They were 28th in third down defense. He helps there with Okudah. We get to pick number 4, Dave Gettleman. We have a great feeling he's going offensive lineman. I think Tristan Wirfs will be the pick there. A very safe player. I don't think he's the best tackle in the draft, but I think he's a Dave Gettleman fit who's been coached extremely well at Iowa. and is ready to step in and start as a rookie there for the Giants.
Okay, so now we've got Big Ten guys going off the board like crazy after Joe Burrow starts us off, and we finally find ourselves at the spot where the Miami Dolphins are picking. The Dolphins have 3 first-round draft choices in this draft. We're taking a look at all the teams with multiple first-round draft choices later on. In the top 10, you've got the Jaguars first of 2 spots, the Raiders, the 49ers, and the Vikings. The Dolphins have 3 picks because they traded away Laramie Tunsil, they traded away Minkah Fitzpatrick, so they've got the first rounders from the Texans and the Steelers. And the question has always been, did they trade those guys away to amass all of these first-round draft picks to make sure that they get the quarterback that they've reportedly coveted for some time? You say they've got a choice between Tua and Justin Herbert right now. Who do you think they take here?
Well, it really is a coin flip, Rich, but I think they end up going with Justin Herbert. The whole tank for Tua goes out the window, just as the stink for Sam went out the window for the Cleveland Browns, and they end up taking Justin Herbert, who just gives them more health, quite honestly. I like Tua better as a player, but I think Justin Herbert, when you hear reports that they're a little bit split in the room, I think this makes sense. He's got the size and athleticism, a big-time arm. The one thing I want to see from him is just those words, cut it loose, play a little bit more free, a little bit more aggressive. That's going to be the challenge for the Dolphins to get that out of Justin Herbert. But I do think this is a coin flip here, whether it's Tua or whether it's Herbert.
Well, if it is Herbert on Thursday night, this would be one of the first shocking moments of the 2020 draft, that the Dolphins would have had a shot at Tua Tagovailoa, and they pass up on him, according to your mock. Do the analysis on local radio here in Los Angeles for the Chargers with our buddy Matt Money Smith on the mic at the play-by-play. So you know the Chargers organization very well. Do you think they are pleased to see Tua fall right at 6?
Well, I think it's up in the air in terms of what they do. When you look at it, potentially people are talking about a tackle. I just don't see him passing on this kid. You have Phillip Rivers now in Indianapolis Colt. They haven't needed the position. I know they like Tyrod Taylor, but I don't see how they pass up Tua Tagovailoa to be the captain and the leader of this football team for the next decade plus. And I'm pretty sure Money's already practicing his touchdown Tua calls. What I love about him, quick feet, quick eyes, quick release. You know, Mark Brunell is somebody he reminds me of, and we'll get to the durability issues in just a moment. But he's a special player, Rich, and I think if he was healthy, this would be a no-brainer. We wouldn't even be discussing whether or not he would be the pick here. But as it stands right now, it's very much up in the air. I just think it's too good to pass up.
Well, then maybe he wouldn't if there weren't any of those injury questions, and obviously in our current climate outside of our doors, with not being able to get physicals done by all the teams individually, he might not be even 6th overall. He might go much sooner. If he doesn't go here, though, how far do you think he might drop tomorrow night?
Well, we've seen it over the last few years where you have a high-ranked quarterback who starts to drift into slide. And, you know, I don't know. You talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars at pick number 9. That's a possibility, but I don't think that's a slam dunk. You know, our buddy Mike Mayock has 2 picks between 10 and 20. I'm not so certain that they would do it. And then you start getting into the interesting conversation, which is, think about the connection between Bill Belichick and Nick Saban. And the New England Patriots picking 23rd is unfamiliar territory for them, where they're used to normally picking. They could be in a position where they could move up if he started to drift into the teens, and you could see Tua as a Patriot. So imagine that scenario.
Okay, and then obviously Tua and his injury history, how concerned do you think everybody is with all that, DJ?
Well, I've talked to a bunch of teams. I've yet to have a team tell me that they failed him. And, of course, I don't talk to the teams that need a quarterback because I'm not going to get good information there. Talk to the other teams that had the opportunity to get the physical at the combine, and they felt confident. They were comfortable with where Tua was. And so when I heard that, I thought, I know some people worry about recurrence. I think some people, medical people, disagree on that. But in the short term, it looks like he's going to be able to get up to 100%, and he should be okay. So we talked about the kind of the doomsday scenario for Tua, where he would drop all the way down to the New England Patriots. I just don't think that's going to happen.
So now we are 6 picks into your mock draft. That leaves Matt Rule in his first draft as the Carolina Panthers head coach, 7th overall. What do they do here?
Well, I think they have a choice between Derek Brown from Auburn, the defensive tackle, or this guy right here, Isaiah Simmons, the talented safety / linebacker from Clemson. And I think he'd be a perfect fit with Matt Rule. He covets speed. He did it when he rebuilt Temple. He did it when he rebuilt Baylor. And it doesn't get much faster than Isaiah Simmons. Now we go to the 8th pick, the Arizona Cardinals. To run the offense they want to run, they've got to get better up front. Jedrick Wills from Alabama, plug and play. He played on that right side at the college level. He starts at right tackle for the Arizona Cardinals. And then, why not, Rich? Let's have a little fun. I've got a trade here with the 9th pick. The Atlanta Falcons come up and they get Derek Brown. A lot of folks believe they're coming up to get the corner and C.J. Henderson from Florida. But I think Derek Brown is an outstanding player. You could put him next to Grady Jarrett. It'd be fun to watch. And I can show you what I'm talking about and what he brings to the table as a football player. Derek Brown, he's enormous. He reminds me a lot of Ndamukong Suh. You see the range that he possesses. He can reset the line of scrimmage, get those hands inside, knock you off the ball. He's got an outstanding inside move as a pass rusher. A little up and under here. Watch him come underneath here. Just the raw power. Texas A&M had no answer for it. Another example of his power. Watch him lift him off the ground. You lift an SEC guard off the ground and then athleticism to find, locate, pick off the ball. A little hurdle from Derek Brown showing off. And then finally, my favorite sack of the year. Watch him throw Damian Lewis, who's going to be probably a 3rd-round pick at guard from LSU, throw him right back into Joe Burrow. So he's a dominating player. I think he's going to go in this range. I know Atlanta wants to move up. I don't know who they want to move up for, Rich. So that's why I have them coming up and getting Derek Brown.
Well, obviously, it would make sense to put somebody to apply pressure up the middle if you're needing to face Drew Brees and now Tom Brady twice a year in the NFC South. It just gets tougher and tougher with each passing day, it seems. Now, Isaiah Simmons, what an intriguing prospect he is. That was the conversation that we were having so much of the combine, certainly when he ripped it up on the 40-yard dash stripe. The conversation is, who is he in terms of where does he play? What do you think that answer to that question is now on the eve of the draft?
Well, I think the majority of teams have listed him as a safety when I've made my calls, and they think he can do a lot of different things, but think primarily you're talking about a force safety that can play down in the box, more of a blitzer than a pure pass rusher. But I see Derwin James every week, and you see everything he can do and the versatility he gives you from one week to the next. I think he would be a great fit for so many teams. I don't think the Giants would do it at 4, but I think that's where the discussion begins with Simmons. And then I think you talk about potentially him getting to the 10th pick with the Cleveland Browns. I think that's his range of where he could go. But we're headed towards positionless football, Rich, trying to find these guys that you can match up on a tight end one week and be able to blitz him and put him on a running back the next week. He provides that versatility.
All right, let's finish up the top 10 of your mock draft and maybe bleed into the next third of the first round with a couple of offensive linemen still on the board. Is that where the Cleveland Browns go?
Yeah, I think we're going to see a couple big offensive linemen go back-to-back here at picks 10 and picks 11. The Cleveland Browns in free agency, they went out and got Jack Conklin to man one of those tackle spots. Now they're going to finish it off with the bookend here and Andrew Thomas to play left tackle, as he did at Georgia. Also has some experience on the right side. He's my 4th tackle, but I could see him going higher than that in this draft. It wouldn't shock me if he went number 4 to the Giants. And then following up the Browns, you get to the Jets, and that's where I have big Mekhi Becton. We saw him put on a show at the Combine. You're talking about 370-pound man that can scoot. He's a dominant run blocker. Le'Veon Bell's going to love him. And then you're also going to be able to protect Sam Darnold's blind side. So help for the run game and the pass game with the Jets.
Here is Mike, and his first pick is the Las Vegas Raiders general manager. And every wide receiver possible is available for him and Gruden. Do they take one?
Well, that's the interesting thing. They have every wide receiver there, Rich, but they also have the number 2 corner in the draft in C.J. Henderson that would fill a need for this Raiders team. So that would be the decision. I think they go wide receiver. John Gruden loves wide receivers. They need somebody to plug and play and be a number one wideout, and this is where the run on receivers begins with CeeDee Lamb out of Oklahoma. CeeDee Lamb get a chance to come in after the catch. That's what he does that's special, and that's why I think he would be a great fit with John Gruden and in that offense.
So CeeDee Lamb would be the first Las Vegas Raiders draft choice, and then this is where the 49ers step in as we begin to see teams that traded first-round picks for a player. DeForest Buckner, that was quite a deal that the Colts and the Niners struck at the outset of the new league year. You could see the Steelers don't have a first-round draft choice. It's a rarity for them. The Bears, Mayock, will cash in the last first-round pick that the Raiders still have from that Mack trade. The Rams, Bills, and Texans are also smoking if they got them on Thursday night. So the 49ers, who don't have a pick in the second, third, or fourth rounds, might maybe consider trading out of this slot or maybe even later on at 31. But what do you think they do at 13?
Well, I have him married up here with Justin Jefferson, and this very well could be a trade down and take Justin Jefferson. But every receiver coach in the league loves this kid. I think he's got a chance to surprise people and go off the board ahead of some higher profile players like the one I have going next. And this one would be fun. Everybody assumes that the Bucs will go tackle. No, they go Jerry Jeudy to plug in the slot with Mike Evans on one side, Chris Godwin on the other, Gronk as their new tight end, and off they go. And the run continues, the fourth receiver in a row. Henry Ruggs, the fastest man in the draft. He's going to be lined up on the opposite side of Cortland Sutton to give Drew Lock two dynamic young receivers. That would be fun to watch there up in the Mile High area with the speed that Henry Ruggs would bring.
Now, normally we would sit here and talk about the rarity of wide receiver going in 4 straight draft positions, certainly in the first half of a first round of an NFL draft. But we have to pause here and just point out, if this does happen, that Tampa and Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers, would go with Jerry Jeudy of Alabama and put him in an offense that already has Pro Bowlers galore, Evans and Godwin. The last time we saw Pro Bowl wide receivers from the same team as teammates in the same year was 2009 with Anquan Bolden and Larry Fitzgerald, and then Gronk coming out of retirement. That is insane, DJ, for Tom Brady.
It would be a lot of fun for Tom Brady. And I know they have a hole at right tackle, but with all 4 of the top tackles off the board, I think at this point in time, this is the best available player they could plug in with Jerry Jeudy. And, Rich, to finish that off, I know we're just doing the first round here, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the running back from LSU, he was put on this earth to play with Tom Brady. He belongs in this offense. So in the second round, we'll give the Bucs fans a bonus. Let's give them Clyde Edwards-Helaire just to finish out this offense.
That would be quite something, again, if that would be what Tampa comes out of the first couple rounds of the draft to pair with Tom Brady and just make the NFC South much more tougher for anybody else to compete. It's so much fun. So now the Jaguars would pick right here. Again, in your mock draft, you had the Falcons trading up to 9, giving the Jaguars this spot. Who do you think Jacksonville would take in this mock?
Well, even if they got stuck at 9, I could see them taking Javon Kinlaw. In this one, we have them trading back to 16. They still get their guy. Kinlaw can come in to replace Calais Campbell. They have some pieces in that front 7 they need to add, and this is a big upside piece here with Javon Kinlaw.
Daniel Jeremiah, 17th overall. Dallas Cowboys do what?
They go corner here. C.J. Henderson. He ended up falling into their lap here. The number 2 corner has a real opportunity to be a top 10 pick, potentially even with the Jags there at number 9. But he falls to the Dallas Cowboys in this scenario, and they need an upgrade there after losing Byron Jones in free agency. Bring in C.J. Henderson, plug and play. Very athletic, Rich. Like to see him be a little bit better tackler, but somebody with tremendous athletic ability.
All right, say the phone rings and the Joneses want to trade down. What do you think happens there?
I think it's a real possibility because when you look at a couple of the players they could target, you'll love this one. Cesar Ruiz to come in and replace Travis Frederick. Cesar Ruiz out of Michigan. They don't know they need to take him there at 17, so they could trade down for him. Also, a player in Xavier McKinney would fill the need at the safety position. But at some point in time, they've got to get Travis Frederick's replacement, and that's why Cesar Ruiz in a trade down scenario would be the one I would keep an eye on there with the Cowboys.
Okay, sir. Now the Miami Dolphins are back on the clock here with the 18th overall selection. Who do they take with their second first-round pick?
Well, they went quarterback. Now they got to get somebody that can protect him. And Austin Jackson from USC is a true left tackle, one of the youngest players in the draft. Needs to get a little bit stronger, but has the potential to be an elite left tackle with his foot quickness and athleticism. I think he ends up coming off the board here and going to the Dolphins. And then the Raiders with their second pick. Why not go back to Clemson? Mike Mayock loves to shop at Clemson. Go get yourself another corner. Last year, they were able to get a starting corner, Trayvon Mullen from Clemson. This year, they go back and get his teammate, A.J. Terrell, to partner up with his old Clemson teammate.
And that would wrap up finally the Khalil Mack trade and what the Raiders got for Mack from the Bears back in the day. And so last year, Mike Mayock with 3 first-rounders. He went Cleveland Farrell, then Josh Jacobs, who was in the running for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Jonathan Abram, who got hurt right away and looked so darn promising. The Raiders now would be constituted as such. And, I mean, CeeDee Lamb and Terrell, that wouldn't be a bad Thursday night for Mayock and Gruden and company.
No doubt, Rich. The question with the Raiders in this first round, if you look at receiver and corner, is which one do they go for first? And I had them going with the receiver first with CeeDee Lamb because, as we've seen, all these teams in between their first pick and their second pick have a need at wideout, and they could get wiped out there. So that's where it's going to be fascinating. Do they take the corner first or the wideout?
Okay, and then the Los Angeles Rams would have been on the clock right here, but the Jaguars are on the clock because Jalen Ramsey is out here in Southern California. What happens here with this pick?
Well, with their first one, we had him going with the first one, we had him going Javon Kinlaw. Now they come back with K'Lavon Chaisson, who, in my opinion, is the second best edge rusher coming out of LSU. Was hurt in 2018. In 2019, he just got better and better each and every week. Big-time juice, big-time burst coming off the edge there for the Jags, who might be minus Yannick Ngakoue, by the end of the draft.
First overall, the Eagles are on the clock. DJ, what do they do?
Well, Eagle fans want a wide receiver, but the run has already taken place. I think they go linebacker Kenneth Murray, who could step in, be a Pro Bowl player with the speed to track down Ezekiel Elliott and Saquon Barkley inside that division. It's a departure from what they normally do in the first round. They haven't picked a linebacker in forever, but I love the fit there in Jim Schwartz's scheme. Next, we have the Minnesota Vikings, who have needs at receiver, but Jalen Johnson, I think, is a great scheme fit with Mike Zimmer there. Can play press man. He's outstanding playing the ball, and he's tough. So the Vikings get a corner, which is much needed on their roster. And then the New England Patriots, a little bit of a surprise here, but Cole Kmet, somebody that comes in who can help the run game as an inline wide tight end. Also somebody that can give you a big target down the middle of the field for Jared Stidham or Brian Hoyer, and that just sounds weird coming off the tongue. Not talking about Tom Brady there with the New England Patriots, Rich.
No, I hear you on that front, DJ. And, you know, that's the question is what New England could do 23rd overall. They could move back. They don't have a second-round draft choice. They do have a ton of third, fourths, and beyond all of that. What do you think they could do? Could they package a bunch together to maybe move up from 23? What do you think the strategy is going to be?
Well, I think, look, if Tua were to start to slide, or Herbert, I would keep an eye on Herbert as well. If Herbert were to slide, potentially you could move up a little bit. I don't see them trading a ton of picks to leap all the way up into the top 10. But if one of those two players were to start to drift, I could see that making sense. Then you have those 3 threes. Maybe they could trade back into the second round for somebody like a Jalen Hurts, which would be a departure from the way this offense has looked. But it could be a new era of New England Patriots football. Maybe they want to get somebody that can move around like Jalen Hurts and open up this offense in some other ways. So that would be one I would keep an eye on. I just don't believe Jalen Hurts gets to them in the 3rd round, so they'd have to move up a little bit there.
Saints at 24th overall. What do you think they do, DJ?
Well, there's been some chatter about Jordan Love potentially with the Saints, but at the end of the day, I don't see that happening. I do look at this football team, and trying to find needs is very difficult because the roster is absolutely loaded. Jalen Reagor from TCU, the wide receiver, can replace the speed element they lost with Ted Ginn Jr. I think he was an underrated player in that offense. They get some vertical speed there with Jalen Reagor, be an outstanding fit with Sean Payton. Now the Vikings come back with their 2nd pick. They go defense again. I know wide receiver is a need, but Yetur Gross-Matos, he fills in on the opposite side of Danielle Hunter. He'd be a great fit for that team that needs to get after Aaron Rodgers inside the division. And then with the Miami Dolphins, their 3rd pick, here you go, Rich, Cesar Ruiz, the center from Michigan. They get Justin Herbert, the quarterback. They get him a left tackle, and they finish it up by adding the center here from Michigan, who's the best interior offensive lineman in the entire draft class, in my opinion.
Well, I'll take that and run with that one. So now the Seattle Seahawks, Daniel, are now on the clock, 27th overall. Do Seahawks fans watch them trade out of the 1st round, sticking around throughout a whole 1st round of a draft only to watch them trade out again, or they use this pick, do you think?
Well, I'm just looking out for them on the mock draft show here, and we're going to say that they stick and pick when we both know that's not happening. They'll end up trading out as they do every year. John Schneider loves to do that. So if we're just trying to match up a player with them that fits, this is a good one here. Trayvon Diggs, big, long, athletic corner. You know how Pete Carroll loves those. Trayvon Diggs, former wide receiver at Alabama, has got tremendous ball skills, and as Pete Carroll has been known to say, it is all about the ball. The Baltimore Ravens trying to get a little faster on defense, especially at the linebacker position. Patrick Queen, I think this is an unbelievable value pick for Queen, who plays with reckless abandon. You see him sideline to sideline range. Wink Martindale would love to put him in their defense there with Baltimore. And then finally, Isaiah Wilson, the big right tackle. The Titans select him to replace Jack Conklin, who left to head to the Cleveland Browns. They have a hole there. We know they love to run the football, and that's Isaiah Wilson's forte, is moving people at the line of scrimmage.
Would you believe the last time the Packers used a 1st-round pick on offense to supplement Aaron Rodgers' side of the ball was the draft after they won the Super Bowl, when they used the final pick of the 2011 1st round on Derek Sherrod of Mississippi State, an offensive lineman who played just 4 years with the team. So it's been that long since the Packers went offense in the 1st round. Daniel Jeremiah, do they give Aaron Rodgers some help this time around?
Not only do they not like picking offensive players, you got to go back way far to find a wide receiver. That changes. Let's give him Brandon Ayuk from Arizona State, who's a run-after-catch specialist, somebody that can track the deep ball down the field, and they've been able to use him on some gadget plays as well. Just get the ball in his hands and let him go. Outstanding returner there in Brandon Ayuk. We get now to the 31st pick. The 49ers, I could see them trading out of this selection. If they stick and pick, let's get a little more speed, a little more athleticism in the secondary. The #1 pass defense gets even better with Jeff Gladney, who can play outside or inside in the nickel, and someone has outstanding ball skills and toughness. And then finally, let's round it out. Chris Jones, there's some rumors he could potentially be on the block. I don't know if they're going to pay him long-term. Ross Blacklock from TCU. I think it's our 3rd horned frog we have going in the 1st round to go to Kansas City, give them some more interior pass rush.
Okay, so that wraps up Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft 2020 of the 1st round.